Welcome to Coffee and Commerce. Today's episode is a special edition episode where we are going to run through different headlines with my colleagues, Matt and Trevor, who have spent the majority of their careers driving retail growth for a variety of the top brands in the industry. So to get started, we are going to talk through three different headlines, one of which is fake. And at the end of this, Matt and Trevor are going to decide which is the fake headline. So, you guys ready to get started?
Ready.
Ready.
Awesome. Okay, so the first headline we have here: how turning malls into fulfillment centers could reshape towns. This is an interesting one. Matt, I'd like to start with you. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, it certainly seems like a practical decision. You've got these big malls which are suddenly empty, whether they're empty because businesses can't afford their rent and they have like way too many stores, or people aren't coming to the malls in general, or a combination of both. So I think it's smart to leverage real estate, which was meant for the front end of retail, to now be kind of the back end of retail. And malls are kind of distribution centers anyway, and that the idea is to put products where people are and want to buy them. How it's going to reshape towns? I don't know. There's going to be interesting, right? Driving by a fulfillment center instead of a mall that you can kind of pop in yourself. So I think it seems practical and more of a win for the brands versus the residents of the towns. I don't know.
Trevor, what do you think?
I think it's going to be more individual stores than malls in general, right? You're seeing like Class A malls, Class AA malls grow exponentially, and B, C, and D malls shrink. But like stores like Kohl's, who you are able to return Amazon packages to, are seeing like traffic get driven actually to their store from that sort of service. So I don't know if it's going to be malls per se, but I definitely think there's value being able to receive or return items to your local stores, on a per brand basis.
Yeah, I do agree. There's a few things you guys are saying, and I think overall, retailers rethinking the value of store all up, and it moving from this epicenter of being a transactional place to being something that's either more experiential or completely changing it to something like a fulfillment center. So it'll be interesting to see how this changes over time. So let's head to the next headline. So the next one we have here: athleisure brands are ramping up wholesale efforts, bringing in new distribution partners. Matt, let's start with you.
Athleisure brands ramping up wholesale efforts. Well, I think everything else we're hearing is around ramping up D2C and brands wanting to get direct relationships with customers. I mean, especially if our first headline is true here, in that brands are rethinking the value of stores. They're certainly rethinking the value of having their product in a lot of places versus having a valuable relationship directly with consumers. So I'm not sure about this one.
That's a good point. I think that the only way that I'm behind this is if they're utilizing someone that already has a distribution network in place as a way to piggyback and expedite the shipping for their products. There's a lot of value in doubling down on the D2C experience right now. Everything from brand ownership, better margins, but also you're mitigating risk of getting back to the local mall scenario, that local mall being inaccessible for a population that you need to sell into.
It is interesting. Yeah. I think some legacy brands have traditionally felt that, as long as customers are buying my brand somewhere, I don't really care what it is, and having that distribution network gives them more reach. But there's definitely some validity to what you all are saying around mitigating risk, for example. So our final headline is: why are companies battling to snatch up bankrupt retailers? They want your data. Trevor, what do you think?
Well, it's hard to tell if it's a question or a statement, or if we can actually interpret that they want our data. I think at the end of the day, customer data along the lines of owning direct to consumer, customer data is super valuable, right? It can do everything from help you increase lifetime value to understand what sort of products that you should be producing or iterating on, or what products you shouldn't be selling. So I think if you look at some of these brands that, will go bankrupt but have a strong enough brand image to sustain themselves moving forward, it makes sense that people are, looking to snatch those brands up and learn from the data that's already been collected.
Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, why are they going bankrupt, right? Like we've seen already this year, a retail group, J. Crew and J.C. Penney. It's a lot of these have to do with just bad decisions around too many physical locations. Bankruptcy is a way to just get out of these long-term leases with landlords they have, and restructuring debt into equity. These are big brands that people know and are popular. I think it's just I think this is a bet on how can these be successful via e-commerce moving forward. There's a ton of data that they have on consumers, and I think the bet is just that these can be profitable businesses, just run much leaner moving forward.
Absolutely. I mean, I do think, and this is something you don't necessarily hear in the news, but bankruptcy does kind of clear the deck for these brands to kind of move forward and transform in some sort of way. The fact that these bigger parent brands are interested in their data, it makes sense to me. So that's definitely a very interesting one. Can't wait to see what else reports on that. But so those are the three headlines. Want to know which one you guys think was a fake one that we kind of made up here. Trevor, what's your vote?
Well, I think the last one, frankly, could be false. I'm not sure how GDPR, CASL, CCPA laws fold into acquiring customer data from a bankruptcy. So there could be something to be said about that and the falsity there.
Matt.
I think 3 is true just because it feels like clickbait and something I would click on. So unless you guys are really good at making the clickbait, I'm going to go with the second one around wholesale, just because, I mean, these athleisure companies are new in nature and probably started as D2C brands. I am suspicious that wholesale is their avenue of growth in the short term.
Yeah, so Matt, you are correct on that one. The headline, athleisure brands are ramping up wholesale efforts, bringing in new distribution partners, is one we made up. That's not to say it's not happening, but I do agree that it's probably the large majority of them going it alone and doing the direct-to-consumer thing. So that is all for today. Thank you guys for joining. This was fun. Would love to have you back for another one of these in a few episodes if you're open to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Any chance I'm right and Trevor's wrong sounds like a good plan for me.
Too often, Matt.
Awesome. Thank you guys. And thank you all at home for joining Coffee and Commerce.